This is a short addendum to the replacing the multi-module. If we type multi dash module.org, it was actually in the address line, wasn't it? multimodule.org. This is where all the multi-modules are done, and when I say all, that's because there's lots of them. Here's a 2.4 multi-module that clips into the external bay on a radio. If we look here at module hardware, you can see there's all these different kinds of multi-modules out there. Here's, again, this one goes in the JR bay in the back. Here's another one. I'm sure these are all external modules that go in the back in a JR bay. But they just do multiple protocols. So yeah, these are external. Now internal modules looks like this. This looks almost exactly like my 4-in-1. But there's other ones. And the TX16S SE comes with a CC2500 based multi-module in it. I guess this is the chip. And you can see an example right here is a 2.4 gigahertz CC2500 4-in-1 multi-protocol module right here. That one looks much different than the one that's in my radio, which looks sort of like, well, I was hoping I was going to see one real quick. Oh well. Sort of like this one. This one's the one for the Radio Master. So they do look different, but for the T16S SE, oops, let me go back to multimodule.org. I'm going to have to download different firmware. The TX16S Radio Master radios, there's like 3 different places you have to keep firmware updated. The OpenTX itself, the OpenTX bootloader, those are done with the same firmware but kind of in 2 different places. And then the multi-module that you just saw me replace in the radio, that also has to have firmware on it. It's totally separate from whatever radio it's in. So if we come right here into firmware downloads for the multi-module, see in this list, normally I would come down to the bottom and select my radio, which is the Radio Master TX16S, the big radio I have, the Max version. Has a 4-in-1 module in it. And I click here. It sets up over here for the STM32 4-in-1 module, and it's a serial type radio. But you see in this list, when I do the TX16S SE, I have to choose this because it's a CC2500 based multi-module. And you see right here, that looks like it's different software. STM32 CC2500 only. Now I would come down here and download this in its flavor that I use. And this is where we get into that AETR, what your first 4 channels, how they're set up, aileron, elevator, throttle, and rudder, like we fly in the United States. This is rudder, elevator, throttle, and aileron. This is throttle, aileron, elevator, and rudder. Actually, you can come right up here and choose AETR in this list, and it'll boil everything down to just what you need. And I need both of these. So I'm going to click on this one, start that saving to file, and I'm going to click on this one and start that saving to file. And again, this is because the 16S SE has a different multi-module in it. Now I am going to actually, this says 52 and 21K. I'm actually going to save this one out also. And you see when you check for the 16 Max, again it's got the STM32 the same, but 4-in-1 module here. And it already sets up, maybe because I've been in here several times before, as a serial radio and AETR, ailerons, elevator, throttle, and rudder. And you can see down here I have 3 files to download. And notice this, for the Max, my multi-module serial AETR is 116K. That's much bigger than it was. That's the bin file, that's the actual firmware. And you see for the SE, it's only 52K. There's a considerable difference in them. So I'm going to go back, and right now my 16S Max is up to this firmware. Oops. But I have not yet put the 16S SE on this firmware, so I just downloaded this. Now, to finish this little addendum, I'll just go ahead and tell you, when I ordered the antenna for the 16S Max to fix it back to where it was, I ordered 2 of them, and I ordered another 4-in-1 multi-module. So when that comes in, I will put that in the TX16S SE in place of the CC2500 module that's in that right now, and then I can use this firmware in both radios, and that way I can keep both the SD cards and the radios the same. It's just going to be easier than having to remember to download this one for that radio and that one for the other radio. So for the want of a $28 module, I'll put a new 4-in-1 in the TX16S SE radio when I get it in a few days. So that's basically, until I get those parts and put them in, that's the end of my addendum for the TX16S Max multi-module replacement that did, thank goodness, fix the problem with using the big long-range crossfire transmitter. So I'm really happy about that. Again, as always, thank you guys.